If you use your 4runner or your Tacoma for traveling or off-roading or any kind of camping, chances are you're probably going to need some kind of a way to bring your food and beverages with you and keep them cold. So the question is, should you be using like a high-end cooler like this Yeti here, or should you step up to a 12-volt fridge? Up until now, I've been a cooler guy for a pretty simple reason. These fridges are expensive, but times have changed and you definitely don't have to spend over $1,000 just to get a 12-volt refrigerator. So this is the RV60D that SetPower sent me to test out. And this is a dual zone refrigerator, which can also be set up as a freezer or a refrigerator. It has two separate compartments for two separate temperatures. So this is the big 60 quart model, and that means that it can fit 72 cans in it, which is a lot. This is also the Pro model too, so it includes these wheels on it, I guess, instead of using a slider. And it also has a handle back here that retracts. You can buy just the regular version of this RV60 that doesn't have that and save a few bucks. So this door here can actually open either way. You can unclip it and have it so it hinges on either side. And you got an LED light on the inside there every time you open it, which helps be able to see inside. You also got this divider that separates the larger compartment from the smaller one with a little basket in there. Now you can actually remove this divider if you want to, and that'll convert it to just a single zone fridge, and that'll conserve some power for you. Now the operation is super easy. It's just, you've just got this little panel with the dials on it. I actually have it plugged into the house right now for full power so that I can cool this thing down quicker. But so you have your on-off button, and then here you have Max and Eco. You can switch back and forth between these two. You're going to want to run it on Eco mode if you're using the 12-volt source in your truck, because it slows down on the battery drain quite a bit. Since I'm plugged into the house, I'm running it wide open on Max. These are your temperatures here. So right now it's at 66 Fahrenheit and dropping because I have it set to 0. So I'm trying to cool it way down for the refrigerator side. And then so this side, if I wanted to raise it up, this one I have at 41, but if I want to raise it up, it's that simple. And then it'll flash which temperature it's set to and go back to the live reading of what it currently is. They actually include two different cords here. They both plug in here. You got a little 15 amp fuse, and so it comes with a 12-volt cord with like a cigarette lighter that just plugs into your vehicle, and then sort of an adapter that plugs into this cord that then you can plug it into your house. So you can either power it from your vehicle or from a 110 outlet in your house. That's definitely helpful because it's a good idea to cool this thing off first before you leave on your trip. It's going to be a lot easier on your vehicle in terms of using power and everything. Get it down to an operating temperature that you want it first, and so it's not working super hard while you're on your trip out in the heat. Now if you are powering it from your vehicle, this does have a vehicle power protection mode. So essentially what it's going to do is, there's I believe 3 different settings for it, and it's going to be sort of an automatic shut off. If it reads that your battery is dropping too low, you can kind of have a threshold set so it won't turn on past that. So if you're running a single battery setup on your truck and you're using this to power it at your campsite, this thing isn't going to drain your battery to the point where you can't start it in the morning. It's going to have a protection, so you can adjust that for how sensitive you want it to be. But that's definitely a nice feature to have here. One other thing is you've got a 1-year warranty on the entire unit, and then a 3-year warranty on the compressor. And so it looks like their warranty program is they'll either fix it for free or they'll just send you a brand new one if you have any kind of claims. So it's nice to have a little peace of mind that they're going to stand behind their product here. So back to the whole debate about whether to upgrade to one of these new fridges or stick with a traditional cooler. To me, it really comes down to the price. So this RV60 from SetPower, this is going to come in at about $599 US, which is a bargain compared to the other fridges on the market from the other well-known companies. Now, I believe this Yeti cooler that we've got here, this is a Yeti Tundra 45, and this retails for about $325. Now, the thing is, this is quite a bit smaller in terms of storage than that fridge is. And when you factor in you got to put ice in there too, it's definitely not a equal comparison. So in order to get this same kind of capacity that you get in this big fridge, you would have to upgrade to a bigger Yeti. You're going to need like I believe a 110, which is like twice the size of this one. That's going to fit very close to the same 72 cans inside of it. So you have to factor in a 2-to-1 can to ice ratio for the cooler, whereas with the fridge, it's just all storage space. You don't have to factor in space for ice. Now, if you want to compare this fridge to a more well-known fridge like the ARB units, those things are crazy expensive. Those are over $1,300 to get a similar fridge to this one, but from a company like ARB. So $1,300 versus $599 versus one of the big Yeti coolers. The Yeti 110 is actually $550. So if you want to compare the same number of cans for a Yeti cooler and the SetPower fridge, you're actually looking at about a $49 difference. You pay an extra $49 and you can have a dual zone refrigerator and freezer. So that gives you an idea of the value here. Now, there are definitely some pros and cons to consider here for both of these options. First of all, if you're going to run this fridge as a freezer, you're going to run like below freezing, it is going to drain a ton of power. It's going to be hard on your battery. You're going to have some issues with charging, potentially. It's not going to last you for a week or anything off your starter battery. You're going to need to come up with some kind of a secondary power source, I think. Now, if you just run it as a single zone, if you take that center divider out and just run one single temperature, and you're running it like a fridge and not a freezer, then you're going to get a lot more battery life out of it. Now, in my case, I'm not super concerned. I do have a deep cycle battery in the 4runner. So between that and the battery protection, I think shouldn't be too much of a problem, but it is definitely something to consider. One minor complaint that I did have here with the SetPower unit is that the power cord plugs in on the front where the controls are. And so I think it would make more sense to have this on the back of the unit, kind of hidden back there, and then as you're pulling it out and putting it back in, you're not tripping over the cord itself. If you buy the Pro model, you also have the option to either run these wheels on it, which are just bolt onto a little frame underneath, really quick and easy, and there's a little peg on the front for balance, or you can run it without and gain a little bit of height clearance if you're having trouble with the height of it being a little bit too big. So you have the choice between just running it flat on the ground or mounting it to a fridge slider, or running these wheels that then, between this and the exterior handle like that, you can wheel this thing around like away from the vehicle if you want to take it with you. Now, I have to admit that this RV60 is a little bit too big for the 4runner, I think. Width-wise, it's not bad at all. But height-wise, I think it's a little bit too tall. I just personally decided to go with the biggest one I can get my hands on because I thought more space is better. But this thing is huge. When you step up from the 45 to the 60, the width here is the same. The 60 is just taller. And so as you can see the way it lines up with the seats and where the mounting bracket is for this cargo cover, it's not going to fit over top of this fridge. So I had to pull the cargo cover out of this. And to me, that's a bit of a downside because now this thing is on display through the windows. So if this is parked somewhere, people can see that there's a fancy fridge in the back. And so it just kind of screams, steal me. So I would like to maybe drop down to the smaller size. The 45, again, same outside dimensions. It's just a little bit shorter. And I think it should tuck in under that cargo cover a little bit better. And the other reason too is that with this setup here, where it is right now, you can open it up, but you are going to bump into the ceiling of the 4runner. It's tall for this vehicle, and that's my mistake. I just ordered one that was way too big because I just thought bigger was better. So I think if you're going to put one of these in a 4runner, I would probably do an RV45. You can get, it's the exact same model, just slightly shorter. I think that might be a better fit. Another thing I can do to get a little bit more clearance is I can take these wheels off and the pegs, and as you can see, I can gain like an extra maybe 2 inches or so, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to be able to fully open this lid up in here. I can situate this and position it differently too. I can put it sideways and further towards the back, and then I probably could use this higher spot in the ceiling to be able to open it up. So that's an option. I also want to try folding down this back seat and putting it kind of with access from the side door. I want to try that and see how it fits over there. and maybe that's a better option for it too. And maybe this big guy still will be a good fit for the 4runner. If you're running a pickup truck like the Tacoma, if you're not running a tonneau cover, then I mean, go as big as you want. As much storage space as you want to waste on your refrigerator, go for it. I think this thing will fit really well for something like that. Now, the main reason why I'm going to be switching over to the fridge instead of this cooler, and this, don't get me wrong, this is a nice one too. These Yetis are beautiful. They're super expensive though. But it just comes down to ice. In order to use this thing, I have to fill a lot of this space up with ice, and then I can't fit as much actual food and drinks in here. And on top of that, as soon as you put the ice in here, the clock starts ticking. And I know these coolers last a lot longer than cheaper coolers. Like, these things are known for holding on to ice for like even days, I think, in some cases. But to me, it's still a downside versus having just an automatic temperature that just stays exactly the way I want it. I just set it and forget it, and I can count on that always being accurate. And so that's the biggest reason why I'm going to be switching to a fridge here for any trips that we go on in the future. One trick if you are going to run one of these Yeti coolers though, it seems to be that one thing makes all the difference with these things. You have to pre-cool them before you go on your trip. So they use, I guess they kind of refer to it as sacrificial ice. They fill it up with ice inside like the day before you leave to cool everything down, and then when you're about to pack for your trip, you take the melted ice out, put fresh stuff in, and then you put all your food in here. And then that's how you make these things last a lot longer. But in the end, even with playing those kinds of games and kind of coming up with a strategy, planning way ahead, it still isn't going to be the same as one of these fridges and freezers. This thing, I can literally set it to like minus 15 Fahrenheit if I want to, which is just stupid cold for keeping any kind of food or drinks in your truck. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to plan ahead. I just plug it in and away you go. So in the end, what it comes down to is you're trading ice anxiety with the cooler and always wondering if you're going to run out of ice or if you can get ice if you're out in a remote area. You're trading that for power anxiety with the fridge or the freezer. Wondering if you're going to have enough power to start your truck. If you are going to be running it for a long time, you're going to need some kind of a secondary power source. So in my mind, it's easier to manage an extra power source than it is to manage extra ice for a cooler. I mean, I'm in Ontario here. There's no desert anywhere nearby, but if I'm out in the middle of the desert, I can't get ice. You know, if I'm somewhere remote, I can't just go and buy ice at the corner store. Versus if I bring an extra power source with me, that power source is never going to melt. It's always going to be there and ready to go if I need it for this. So I think it's smarter to trade ice anxiety for power anxiety, if you even consider it that. So guys, if you're interested in trying out one of these SetPower fridges, and I highly recommend you do, because you just are not going to beat them for the value. They're super sturdy, really well built, and the price is just awesome. $5.99 for this is the biggest one that they sell. So if you step down to a 45, like I said, would probably fit better in the 4runner anyways, you're going to save some money there too. So this is the most expensive one at $5.99. It seems like a bargain compared to the other options, but if you follow the link in the description below and you use code GEARHEAD, that's also going to get you 12% off at the SetPower site. You can also buy these things on Amazon, I think, too. So pretty readily available, easy to find, and just such a good bang for your buck. To go from what a lot of people consider an overpriced cooler, like a Yeti like that, to a huge value in a full fridge and freezer for the difference of maybe a couple $100. I mean, you got a lot more storage space in here, and it's a lot more reliable. No more hunting for ice all the time and constantly pulling over to check and see if the ice is melted and anything like that. You know, if this thing is plugged in, you're good. All right, I made a couple of adjustments here, and as you can see, I took those pegs off the one side and the wheels off the other, and that bought me some more height. And now I can fully open the lid over there on the rear passenger seat. So as you can see, I took the wheels off, took those pegs off, and now we have full height in the ceiling. So this fridge does actually fit in a 4runner. The other thing that I did change was I moved the hinge of the lid from this side, which is where it came, and switched it to this side so it opens up this way. As you can see, the shape of the ceiling, it's a little bit lower on this side here. So those two adjustments, and this fridge actually fits perfectly in here now. So if you want to get one of these bigger size ones, you can put it on this passenger side rear seat and be able to fully open it up. Speaking of traveling, I actually posted a video a little while ago about everything that I learned from towing a camper trailer with this 4runner across Canada, and I feel like not enough people watch that. I thought there's some pretty interesting stuff in there. Everything from using a trailer brake controller to how to load the trailer to how much power one of these 4.7 V8s has for climbing up mountain highways and stuff. So make sure to go ahead and check that one out. I'm going to put it on the screen here now. And aside from that, thanks for watching, guys.